Good afternoon. In this video I'm going to show you how to follow the steps for assignment given for week number 8. As you can see, the instructions are on the left hand side of this screen, and I do have open MS Access on this side, on the right hand side. The first paragraph refers only to a few statements of the business reasons why this database was built or is going to be built, whereas the steps here are really a reflection of what you guys have to do in this assignment. So let's start by step number 1. Create a new blank database named Beauty and save it in the folder where you are storing your files as specified by your instructor. Since I'm working on my personal computer, I am just going to save it on the C drive, somewhere on the C drive. For those of you guys who are using the VM, you can also save it on the C drive or the VM or the Azure Lab. I'm using a Windows computer here, so it might be a little bit different for those users who have OS devices. So let's start. So it says here, create a new blank database named Beauty. So I'm going to create a new database. Click here, blank database, double click, and I'm going to save it somewhere on my computer, so I'll know where that is. Usually I do have a C folder where I save a few files that I do have, and I'm going to name this Beauty. Okay, so I know it's been saved under ctemp, and I'm just going to save it, create, and then you have this screen, and you have on the left side the tables. By default, you will always have a table 1. We don't need it, we're just going to delete it, or maybe just see what the next step is asking us to do. Let's just do this a little bit over 100% here. Okay, so you can read it as I go through the assignment. A little bit less, not too much. Okay. In the datasheet view for table 1 table, rename the default primary ID key ID field to option ID. Then I'm going to just copy this here, Control C, and I'm going to rename this. I just did double click, and then I'm going to rename it as option ID. And then enter, and I already have the name of the field changed to what it's stated in step number 2. Change the data type of the option ID field to a short text. How do I do that? If I'm not mistaken, you click here. Field, or I can just do design view. For now, I'll save it just table 1, then option 1, right? Change the data type of the option ID field to short text. Instead of auto number, it's going to be short text. And step 2 is done. 3. Add the following 3 fields to the new table in the order shown here. So it's asking me to create this field 1, right? Short text field. Just select here short text field. The next one is option cost. So just copy and paste here. As the currency field. Currency, it's right here. Now the next one, fee waived. So yes, not right. So then I'm going to do this and then select the data type here. So yes, no field. Perfect. Save the table as option. Okay, so I already saved it as table 1. I'm going to just say yes. Try to close it. When you try to close it, it's going to ask you if you want to save the changes. this case I'm going to say yes, and I have to change it, change the name of the table. How do I change it? I just double click here. Oh sorry, you close this one and right click here, rename table 1. Then it's asking us to change it as option, right? So just to right click option. Okay, then step 3 is done. Enter the records shown in figure 132 and in the option table, which is the one that we just created, right? When entering the option cost field values, you do not have to type the dollar signs, commas, or decimal places. They will be entered automatically. Yeah, that makes sense because of this is a currency field. Now let's do option ID, right? So it says here the first one. I'm going to now follow the steps that I want to add all the rows, that all the records stated in figure 132. I'll just key 132, wash, cut, bi-weekly, and for 6 months, right? So I'm not going to do the, all the records, but you get the point of what I'm trying to do here. Fee waived, yes will mean that I'll check it, right? And no means if you leave it unchecked, that's a no. So let's do one more. Say let's do the final 117, and then pedicure, bi-weekly, and then it's 190. Fee waived, no, right? So just add two rows here. Then I'll save it, right? I don't know if it's asking me to save it, but now what we do have is we just completed step number 4. Now step number 5 says here, Sue created a database named Beauty2Go that contains a more options table with planned data. The option table that you created has the same design as the more options table. Copy all the records on the more options table in the Beauty2Go database. Okay, so then it's referring to this database now, which I hope it is in the package of files. Yes, it's here. These are the files. These are where I unzipped my files. In under the folder case 1, you can see this. We do have this Beauty2Go database. Let's open up the database here, and then let's minimize this once we already have opened the database here, and it's saying yes, I can see the database, and the table that it's referring is the more options. Yes, there's a few records here. Copy all the records from the more options table in the Beauty2Go database located in our folder that I just opened. You may have it, this file in a different folder, and then it says and then paste them at the end of the option table in the Beauty database. Okay, so all I'm going to do now is just click here, copy, go here, and then paste. And then it doesn't work because my guess that you requested with table were not because they would create a duplicate in the index primary key. Okay, change the data in the fields that contain duplicate data, or okay. So it seems that 117, and let's do cancel here, and let's do no. Okay, so essentially what it's saying is that we already have this primary key. Means that you only can have one record with option ID 132, 117. Let's see if we have yeah, and you can see we have one record with option ID 132. That's why we had that message, and most likely we are going to have that also for 117. Oh, there's no 117, right? So if you can do it two ways here. Either I just copy this whole thing and then paste it here, and then say OK to this message, and then Do you want to suppress further error messages telling you why records can be updated? In this case, I said no. And then it's just copying and pasting the rows from the more options table to the options table. Are you sure you want to paste the records? Yes, perfect. The records that yeah, that's fine. Just do OK here. And now what we do have is that all the records that we had on this table were now pasted into the options table, the options or option rather. The reason why this copy and pasted sorry worked is because of the layout, meaning the fields that we have in the destination table, which is the option table, are the same as what we do have as the fields that we do have in the more options table. That's why it worked. If you are doing this kind of operation, make sure that the layouts are the same, otherwise you may have unexpected outcomes. Now, since I don't need this database anymore, I'm going to just close it. Okay, and then what we do have is that we have step number 5 complete. Okay. Let's do now step number 6, resize all dataset columns to the best, and then save the option table. I'm not going to resize that, or if we want to resize it, it's just double click here, how I did that. Once you see this little splitter here, and in between the fields, you right click, you just double click there, and then we'll resize the column. So I'm just going to resize this one because of this seems to be fine. Now step number 7, close the option table and then use navigation pane to reopen it. Okay, I'm going to close it. I'm going to just say yes. And then paste and then close the option table and then use the navigation pane to reopen it. Note that the records are displayed in primary key order by the values in the option ID field. Let's check that. Is it true? Yeah, well, 1, 2, this is ascending order, 1, 2, all the way to the largest, which seems to be 143. Okay, that's the main. There are a number of applications for primary keys, but essentially what it's telling us is that the primary key, two records can't have the same primary key for a number of reasons related to the meaning of primary key. Primary key is a unique identifier for records, and when you specify that for a table, that combination of fields or field of fields must be unique in the table. Now let's go to step 8. Step 8 refers to use a simple query wizard to create a query that includes the option ID, option description, and option cost fields from the option table. Okay, so now let's close this one. I really no longer need this. I'm going to create, and I'm going to say, is it asking us to do the query design, or we can do a quick query wizard? Okay, so let's do this. I'm going to use this one. Once you click that, let's do it again. Where do you find the query wizard? You have to select the create tab, and then right under the queries group, you do have the first icon that goes query, that is labeled as query wizard, and then we just click here, and you do have this little window. And let's see what it's asking us to do. So it's saying create a query that includes the option 2, 3 fields. Okay, so let's just select the first option here in the query wizard, and then let's do the next. Let's see what happens in the next screen. Here in this section, you will have here all the tables or queries that you may have in this database. Here we only have, for this database, we only have 2 tables, and the one that we are interested in is the options table. Then right underneath we do have 2 sections, the fields that are available. Here we have 4 fields in this table, and the selected fields are the fields that will finally show in the query. As of right now, we have nothing, and then we'll start thinking. We'll start looking into what are the fields that this step is asking me to add. Option ID seems to be one of them. When you want to move the filters from this section to the next, you just select the field, and then click here, and then you do have the field now under the selected fields column. The next one is option description. This can also do the same, and the third one is option cost. Okay, so that's one way to do it. Let's reverse this, all of them. I'm going to select them, all of them at once. Okay. I'm going to select first control, and this doesn't seem to be working. But if I do click here, I'm going to select all of them, and then I'll just deselect the last one, which is not part of the query based on what I see on step number 8. Okay, so I just selected the 3 fields. In the second simple query wizard dialog, let's see what happens here, what happens when I do next. Select the detail option if necessary. I don't see a detail option here. The option appears because the query indicates okay, next option query. Okay, so the second select the detail option if necessary. This option appears because of the query states wait, the detail option, it's not asking us to do anything here. Save the query as options data, and let's do that thing here. I'm going to just copy this, and I'm going to do okay, and then I am going to save the query as option data. When I just did the final click, all it did was it just created a query with this name. And how do you know it's a query? Because it's under the section, the query sections of this database. How do you know that? Because of this is the table section. You have 2 tables here, and then you do have one query, which is the one that you just created. How do I rename this? I just click here, rename. Okay, so it's not doing it because of the query is open. But now I'll do rename and then paste the option data and then close the query. Well, it's already closed. I didn't save it before, so but this is just another way to get the same outcome. Now use the form, and then we do have now step number 8. Step number 9. Use the form tool to create a form for the option table. Save form as option info and then close it. Let's do that then. How do we do that? Oh, the form tool. So let's do the form wizard as well. So let's do the same. I'm going to select the form wizard, and I am going to create a form for the option table. I need to use the option table. The sources, when you create a form, you have to specify what is going to be the underlying table. In this case, step number 9 is very clear. It says that save the form, you have to use the option table. Then here I am going to select the option table. As you can tell, you can have queries and tables as the source of data for your forms. Then we'll select the table option, and then let's just select all the fields. Then next, just next. Then it says save the form as option info. And I'm going to say just copy the name that the step is requesting, and I'm going to say now and then finish. All right. Don't worry too much about what we have at this point, but as based on what the step is asking us to do, I'm just going to close this. So then it just completed step number 3. What do we have here? 3 things. We do have two tables. Sorry, we have one table, and this is the table that by default you may have Access will create because of it finds a few errors. We found a few errors when we were doing the pasting. I'm going to just delete this table. Yes, and as you can tell, you do have on this section all of the all access objects, tables, queries, and forms. Tables, we have the option table that was or the first table that we just created, and we added a few records from the View2Go table, View2Go database. Sorry, we do have this query we just created following steps, previous steps, and we also have the forms, the form section. And in this case, we only have one form. Okay. Now we are done with step number 9. Let's do step number 10. And let's see what do we have here. Okay, use the report tool to create a report based on the option table. So let's do again create a report. Let's do again report wizard. Just start. And then again, when you're also creating a report, you need to specify what is the where you will be getting the data. You can get your data from tables or queries, and as you can, on this drop down, you can see that it's showing, giving you the option to select either the table option or the query option data. The step number 10 very clearly says that you have to select the option table. I'm going to do that now. In layout view, resize the option ID. Layout view. So let's just do then all. Select all the fields, and then next, and then finish. Okay. So and then once we have this. You can see that we do have one more object, which is a report, under the reports options, under the reports sections. You also can see that tables, queries, forms, and reports have different different icons. That's how you can tell that you are dealing with a report, you're dealing with a form, a query, or a table. Now let's see what else it's saying us to do. In layout view, resize the option ID. So layout view. So let's switch to layout view here. So print preview. How to close this one? Let's close this print view. Now we let's go to the report. Yeah, we are here. I believe this is the layout view. Let's check the layout view. So there's a few different ways to see this. I believe this is the layout view already. Yeah, this is the layout view. Okay, so in layout view, resize the option ID field so it's slightly wider than the longest entry. We see that most of these numbers are 3 characters, just 3 digits, and then I'll just resize it so it will be like this this wide. So it's slightly wider than the longest. This is the first time we resize the option. Okay, it's also asking us to resize the option description. Okay, so that seems to be fine. Okay, but we're just going to leave it there. So resize the, so there are no entries. Wait, resize the option description field so there are no entries with multiple lines. Also resize the box containing the total amount. Okay. Option cost. Okay. One second here. Let's make this smaller. Okay, let's stop it here for a second. Okay, now, so I finalized the resizing, and when you resize, you should get something similar to this. Doesn't have to be equally like 100% similar, 100% like this one. As long as you are able to resize that, you should have met the requirements of this step. Now let's see what else we do have here. To display the report in print preview to verify all the fields. Let's do print preview now. Where is the where are the views? Design here, design tab, view, print preview. Then you do have all your fields aligned. This is a little bit misaligned, but it doesn't really matter as long as you do have each record in one line and not one row and multiple lines. Now the next requirement is to save the report as option list. I didn't do that initially. I'm going to close it and I'm going to say yes, I want to save it. And instead of being option, I'm going to rename it as option list. I'm going to copy this. And again, right click here, rename, option list. Print the report. There's no need for us to print the report, and then close it. Close the option table, and then compact and repair the beauty database. How do we compact and repair the beauty database? You do select database tools and then compact the database. What it's doing here is just making sure that a few elements that were deleted in between are removed. It's purging elements that might be still part of the database at the internal level, something that you don't see. This will just make your database a little bit less heavy. And then we close this one, and you just finalize assignment number 1. Now